Good morning, Bethel family, and welcome to Convos and Coffee. I hope you're having a great Thursday morning so far. Today, I want to share something with you in hopes to encourage you in your walk with God. But before I do that, I want to share with you a psalm, Psalm chapter 34, verse 8, and it says this: "Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him." What I wanted to share with you today is this: living a life of revival. When I was 21 years old, I had revival take place in my own life. It was the time in my life where I was awakened to what it meant to know Jesus, to what it meant to have a relationship with him that he wanted to have with me. I had been a Christian since I was 5 years old, and I was just finishing up Bible college around this time. I still had a year to go, I think, and I had revival take place in my life. During this time, I just knew that God had more for me, and so I began to seek him for it. So during this time, I was spending hours upon hours just reading the word. I was spending time just with my face before him, crying out to him, and in prayer and in worship and talking to him and learning to hear his voice. And as I read the word and I was reading stories about Moses and Elijah and all of these incredible people of God, I remember reading these stories and my heart began to burn. And I thought to myself, I want this life. I want to live like they did. I want to see God's glory. I want to meet him face to face. I want to know what it is to hear his voice, to know the Holy Spirit's leading. I want that life. And so I began to seek for it. And I remember one night when I was telling this to God. I was standing there one night just in my worship time, and I said, God, I want that life. I want a life where I can hear your voice, I can know your voice, I can walk with you, Holy Spirit, you can lead me. I want the same life that Moses had. And I began to pray these prayers. I said, I want the life that Elijah had. I want to know you and sense your leading in that kind of way. I want to live a life like that. I don't want just to have one-time experience. I don't want to just hear of these things. I want to have this for myself and experience it daily. And so as my heart began to burn for this, I began to seek God. And so I remember this one night when I was praying this prayer and I was standing up and just saying, God, I want this life. And that was the night that God revealed to me, you can have this life. I do have this life for you. I want to know you in the same way. I want you to know me in the same way. This is what I have for you. And you can have the same life that they did. You can experience me in that intimate, close way. And I remember when God spoke that to my heart, I stood there and I said out loud, wow, I can have that life that they did with God. I can know God the same way that they did. And that just blew me away. And so when God revealed that to me, I began to chase after him more than I ever did in my life. I had been a Christian for many years. I was in Bible college preparing to become a pastor. And when this happened, when this revival took place in my life, my whole life changed. It's like something clicked when God revealed to me, you can have this relationship with me. And so when he spoke that to me, I began to seek for it. And what I mean by I began to seek for it was I threw myself at God. I spent hours just in his presence. I would come home from work and I would shut the door and I would just put worship music on and I would just literally spend hours talking to God and sitting on my floor and talking to him and walking around my house and just listening for his voice. I would take my Bible and open it up and just read it and soak it up. And when I did this, I began to see God in my life like I had never seen him before. And I began to hear his voice. I began to have this life that I had prayed for. And yet, even now, I know there is still more. That God still has more for me. He still has more for you. Even if you've been serving him for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, he still has more for you. I want to encourage you this morning to just go deeper with God today. Set some time aside today to find yourself in God's presence today, talking to him, allow him to talk to you, but go after God with everything in you. He's always there waiting for us to come to him, and he always has more for you. I want to encourage you today with what God revealed to me. And I always tell the kids this in our kids ministry, but you can have the same life that they did. Sure, it might not be the same stories, but it's stories of what God can do in your life and through you. You can have that same relationship with God that Moses had, that Elijah had. You can have that same relationship with him. You can know him in an intimate way. You can talk to him. He can talk back to you. I want to encourage you this morning that God has more for you. Go in deeper and seek his face for what he has for you and what he will do through you for his glory. Taste and see that the Lord is good.